fascinated with certain things, and then the '80s Bonannos always fascinate me because they were directly
Hmm.
they were directly tied in to the heroin pipeline from Sicily. So let's talk a little bit about the Iscaparti, the ones who left Sicily. I guess the Corleonesi drove them out. They came over here to the U.S. They kind of hooked up with the Bonannos and Gambinos, and they kind of changed the landscape when it came to the heroin marketplace. So you were kind of a little younger for that,
Right.
but yeah, walk us through that
I,
time.
I, I was.
Yeah,
I understood enough to know what was going on during that time. I was a little bit older. It was in as cloudy as, let's say, the Galante hit where I was 9. I understood there was a lot of turmoil back home, and most of the people that my family was involved with were on the losing side.
got it.
Now, I can't really go into this that much because I got a non-disclosure on a part 2, obviously, that I did a part 1
Yeah,
on something else, but I will give you enough to make you understand what you want to know. I mean, yeah. So the Sicilian Bonannos, along with the Sicilian Gambinos, were involved with that turmoil, and they caught the short end of the
Babania,
stick, if you would.
Babania, no,
I'm sorry now.
Babania they call it,
The
right?
what?
Babania.
No, Bavaya was always an Americanized term for pot.
I
Uh,
always thought that was.
and then it just got into fucking like everything that has to do with heroin and everything. Papanya was weed.
Ah,
It wasn't heroin. But
ah,
then
okay.
it gets Americanized like anything else and gets fucked up.
Or you get
You
the
know, like
Italian
stunad and
without the H.
yeah, they cut off the vowels and you get fucking Hollywood terminology.
Edoween. Yep, Edoween. Yep.
Mm, Edoine, whatever the fuck they do, you know, Bizani, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just the bastardization of our language.
All right. So now, one question I have is again, you were younger, but these guys were making real money.
Hmm.
Did you start to see escalation of wealth, or were these guys more low key about stacking their chips?
By 1984, 85, these guys weren't around anymore. Just you can find out what happened to them. One of them ended up getting lesser years, and he started coming around again.
Yeah.
And he was a member of the Bonanno family. I could tell you that. That was Baldo. He came out in by that time, I think it was 89. And then the rest had pretty grim fates, you know.
Now,
And he came around again. But the money did definitely die down by then. There was Ridgewood Bushwick in 82, 83. It wasn't far fetched to see a Lamborghini or fuck a Ferrari. Lot of money. You know, people could people could say it was Reaganomics bullshit. It was drugonomics.
true, true. Now, what happened post Pizza Connection? Because you and I were chatting a little bit on the phone, and I talked about this also in the previous podcast. My belief is they put away the losing team, right? They chased away the Inzarellos and a few other guys, the Spitolas.
That's in Sicily.
That's in Sicily. Yeah, and they came
And they
away.
all ended up coming here. The ones who were related to the Palamedon faction
Yeah,
of the Gambinos, yeah, they ended up in Brooklyn
yeah.
until everything kind of got calmed over. Well, although Ray Rihanna had to die before that was going to happen.
Well, that's why
And
they couldn't go back until he was in jail. Otherwise, they would have got killed.
that was part of the pact. Apparently, it was like, they don't come back and we don't bother their family anymore.
Yeah.
It's a misconception of Buscetta, for example.
Yes.
He was during the 70s. He was on the run. He went to Brazil,
Yeah.
and he always claimed that he really didn't have anything to do with the mob anymore. They just drew him back in when they started killing his family. Uh, there's
No. I don't know about that, but yeah.
there's a little bit of a question. You could question that, because he did entertain a former boss. I'll tell you who it was. It was Gaetano Badalamenti at the time.
Correct.
He entertained him in Brazil. Little to both their behest, the guy they were talking to back to Palermo to make a kind of a resurface and come back and try to take what was theirs. Even if it was bullshit talk, it got back, was Pipo Calù. Pipo Calù was an old friend of Buscetta, but he turned on the Palermo Dons and went with the Call of the Names.
That's
what
correct.
he did in return was saying, listen, Buscetta is back in Brazil entertaining Badalamenti. Therefore, I'm not making it right. So Lorena said, well, then we need to do what we need to do. And he started eliminating, I think he eliminated like 7 to 8 males in his family, in Buscetta's family.
And that's when they got Bontate. They went after the Della Cassia, which was the politician. They pretty much wiped.
They went after everyone.
They wiped out everyone. 7 people in the Buscetta family. Supposedly, and you would know better than me, supposedly they offered an olive branch to Buscetta to come back and said, if you come, you know the answer to this, but if you come back, we'll make pace. But that didn't happen. Do you think they were legitimate?
They could offer them balls because that's what he was getting. You know that, Tom. Yeah, I mean, how can you offer that? You just killed his kids. You killed his son-in-law. You killed his son-in-law's father.
Brother-in-law and the brother-in-law.
They killed Buscetta's kids.
And the brother-in-law was Pipo Calù.
The brother-in-law and the brother-in-law's son.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, you just didn't start killing this guy because he was on the land and minding his business in Brazil, like he said he was. He was entertaining some fucking major conversation.
There was a great story about Tommaso Buscetta. I believe it's in his book. So he was always a man of honor. He downplays it. Oh, it was a little. No, he was always serious. He comes to the U.S. He was lambing it, and I think he was like distantly related to Carlo Gambino. Obviously, Carlo Gambino is the boss at the time. So he gets off the train station. Some guy picks him up, gives him like $500, and stashes him off in a hotel. And remember, this is the old school days when they were considered uomini di onore. You know, they get treated with a certain level of respect, blah, blah, blah. He turned around and complained to the guy and said, whoa, I'm a boss from the other side. This is what I get. Next week, there's a big party, a big festival for the guy, food, drink, etc. Carlo pulls him aside and goes, listen, I never want to hear you speak subversive again. And he never said anything wrong after that. My point being was Carlo was like, listen, I just had to get you up and we will do right for you later. And then the second he said one bad word, Carlo on purpose threw them a nice party and then said, I don't want to hear any more subversive talk. But that was Carlo Gambino's style. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you ever heard that one, but that was
definitely two different styles between both of them. One was, although I obviously I didn't know neither of one of them, but